An educational overview of courtroom symbolism and legal power structures. Introduction, Symbolism and Allegory in the Legal Arena. The modern courtroom is frequently interpreted by some researchers as more than just a venue for justice. Certain alternative perspectives view it as a place laden with symbolic meaning, drawing parallels between legal institutions and ancient religious rites. For instance, the courtroom has been allegorically compared to the Temple of Baal, enforcing law through systems reminiscent of Babylonian or Talmudic tradition. The judge, adorned in a black robe, is seen as a figure akin to a high priest. The gate, or bar, represents a veil, beyond which legal and spiritual rituals occur. Legal roles reimagined through metaphor. In this interpretive model, attorneys act as mediators or intermediaries, guiding defendants from common law jurisdictions into civil law, often Roman or statutory in form. The act of entering a courtroom is seen as a voluntary submission to this ritualistic legal structure. The participants, clerks, bailiffs, and stenographers, are likened to temple servants who document the sacrifices offered, fines as wave offerings and court costs as tribute. Plea structures and the nature of jurisdiction. When a defendant is asked to plead, it is imperative that they understand the charges. According to legal precedent, such as Black's Law Dictionary and Feretta v. California, 1975, a lack of understanding undermines the legitimacy of any plea. A common misconception is that entering a plea of not guilty may protect the defendant. However, since this plea is negative in nature, it can be strategically weaker. Instead, the preferred plea in this context might be one of innocence or a well-constructed pleainbar. The privilege against self-incrimination and sovereignty. As the U.S. District Court in United States v. Johnson, 1947, ruled, the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination is not granted to those who are indifferent to it. This right must be asserted personally. Legal counsel, such as an attorney, cannot preserve this protection for you. Once you testify to any part of a transaction, you waive your protection for the rest. Legal language, identity, and jurisdiction. Responding to legal questions, especially those regarding one's identity, should be done cautiously. The courtroom operates through jurisdiction. By identifying yourself incorrectly or by responding voluntarily, you may inadvertently grant the court authority over you. The suggestion here is to understand how legal identity and language function in court proceedings, and to only respond in ways that preserve one's rights. Self-representation and the role of attorneys. Choosing to represent oneself pro se has significant legal implications. Courts have interpreted self-representation as potentially imprudent, as stated in Feretta v. California. Attorneys, meanwhile, are viewed in some circles not as protectors, but as officers of the court who owe their primary allegiance to the state. Their training and licensing, which traces to British common law, and symbolically, to knighthood, may not align with the sovereign interests of the individual. Judicial immunity and witness testimony. The legal system provides judicial and prosecutorial immunity in many cases. As outlined in Briscoe v. LaHue, 1983, court officers and witnesses, especially those called by the state, are immune from civil and criminal liability, even if their testimony is false. This doctrine, while protective of judicial integrity, raises concerns about accountability and fairness for defendants. Sovereignty, language, and spiritual allegory. The term God is re-examined from a linguistic and theological perspective. According to certain interpretations, it may derive from ancient pagan deities rather than the creator of biblical texts. This reframing supports the broader argument that courts function within a spiritual framework contrary to those adhering to divine sovereignty under Yahweh, YHVH. Christian identity and legal vulnerability. Individuals claiming to operate under divine authority, especially those identifying as followers of Yeshua, are advised to avoid the trappings of modern legal systems. According to this perspective, submitting to court jurisdiction through oaths, attorney-client contracts, or plea bargaining compromises spiritual integrity and legal autonomy. Instead, such individuals are encouraged to document their position using affidavits under 28 U.S.C. 1746 and security agreements filed under UCC law. The strawman misinterpretation. The notion of a strawman, a separate legal entity representing the individual, is heavily criticized when misunderstood. In formal law, a strawman is a proxy used in transactions, often illegally. The educational takeaway here is to avoid simplistic interpretations and to engage with legal doctrines through verified sources and structured processes. Cultural metaphors and legal allegory. The Wizard of Oz is used here as an allegorical story to illustrate modern financial and legal systems. Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Straw Man, and the Cowardly Lion each represent different facets of the citizen-state relationship. The yellow brick road symbolizes the path to central banking, and the ruby slippers, originally silver in the book, symbolize the lost wealth and freedom of the people. Conclusion: legal literacy as a path to empowerment. The overarching theme is that citizens must educate themselves about the legal system in which they operate. While many of the interpretations offered are symbolic or allegorical, they reflect a genuine desire for truth, justice, and autonomy. Learning how to navigate the law is essential, whether one agrees with these perspectives or not. A well-informed public is a free public.